Welcome to the Columbus Report on Waycross Community Media. I'm Government Programming Coordinator Dana Gagnon, and each month on this program we try to take a look at what's going on in state government in Ohio. This month we are going to take a look at a press conference of Governor Mike DeWine's on April 29th. At this conference he introduces exactly what he has Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted working on with the Innovate Ohio project. We frequently think about how to use technology to make us more efficient at home or more efficient in the office. With this project, Ohio is looking at how we can run government more efficiently and make it more accessible to the citizens of Ohio. There are three areas that he's going to look at to focus with that technology. One of them is customer service, or how we interact with the government. One of them will be data analytics, and another will be security. So we'll take a look at that. And one thing that is interesting to note is that Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted does make reference to the concept of having government right now having different silos. And he uses that image of having different silos of different departments all being isolated. And the reason that's interesting for those of us here in the Waycross area is we just recently heard the city administrator of Springfield Township use that same image to talk about how Springfield Township is also looking for ways to have their different departments work together and bridge the gap across their separate isolated departments. So it'll be interesting to see how Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted brings that concept to different parts of our state government. So let's take a look at this conference and see what he has to say about Innovate Ohio.
We certainly have an obligation as elected officials and public servants to use the public's resources wisely, to serve our constituents to the best of our ability, earn the trust that the public has placed in us. When I was Attorney General, we deployed technology to provide a higher level of service and to keep people safe. We did this particularly in the criminal justice area, when we used the latest technology to test and to analyze the old sexual assault kits and also to track down criminals. We also started an initiative called Cyber Ohio to help share best practices with businesses to encourage them to adopt these best practices. Jon Husted has done the same throughout his career. As Secretary of State, he modernized the way entrepreneurs start a business in Ohio, and he made it possible for voters to change their address and register to vote without leaving the comfort of their own home or ever using a printer. By doing so, he saved millions in taxpayer dollars and raised the bar in the way government views its services and its citizens. Since taking office, I've shared with you how my grandfather, until his death in his mid-80s, continued to plant trees that he knew he would never see really fully mature. We really have that same obligation in state government. We need to take the long view. This is what we are trying to do in our administration, is to take the long view. What we are announcing today, I think, continues in that vein. Today we're announcing the initial project that Lieutenant Governor Husted and his team at Innovate Ohio have initiative. The Innovate Ohio platform will represent the next step in technology advancement and integration across all government platforms. This was work that was started before John and I were inaugurated, that now the Innovate Ohio team is taking to the next level to improve the services that we provide to all Ohioans. This platform will improve security, it will improve online services, and eventually will provide savings to the taxpayers and serve as a launching pad as we work to solve Ohio's greatest challenges. Let me now, to give you really a good look into this, and that is to introduce Jon Husted, who will explain. Jon?
Thanks. Thank you, Governor. And I appreciate the collaboration. Governor and I have been talking about this for a long time, and did a lot last year. And the goal of Innovate Ohio is to make Ohio the most innovative, creative state in the Midwest. We've assembled a great board, advisory board for Innovate Ohio. If you see the individuals that are involved in that, they're some of the great entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial minds, tech minds that we have in the state. And they're providing a great sounding board for us as we initiate this effort. But before we ask everybody in Ohio to lead, before we ask everybody in Ohio to embrace the technologies of the future, first, the state of Ohio needs to lead by example. And that's exactly what we are doing today. The Innovate Ohio platform that we're announcing today will focus on three main areas: customer service, how we do a better job of serving the people of Ohio; analytics; and security. Customer service, analytics, data analytics, and security. It's not only a technology platform, but it's also a platform for human collaboration. There need to be fewer silos in government. People need to work together across all aspects of government. I often said this at the cabinet meeting this morning, that when people out there who we serve look at government, they don't look at the governor or lieutenant governor or the mayor or the state representatives or legislators that are here today. We're just government. They expect us to serve them. They expect us to do a good and efficient job at doing that, and that's exactly what we intend to do. The governor today will sign an executive order creating this Innovate Ohio platform and requiring state agencies to comply with it. It's not just a policy statement, but it's a statement of leadership on technology and human collaboration at serving people and solving problems. Let me explain how it works. First of all, we can tell you from experience, and the governor alluded to his time as Attorney General and mine as Secretary of State, it does work. We know how this works. We have experienced how technology can improve the way that you serve people. I know that when I became Secretary of State, we had an obligation under the law to know when somebody filed an absentee ballot what their last four digits of their Social Security number or their driver's license number was, so that we could check to make sure that we knew who it was that was voting. Well, when I got there, we realized that we didn't have any of that information, or had very little of it. The BMV had it, but we weren't on the same platform as the BMV. We couldn't have access to that information. And because they were separate agencies, not collaborating and coordinating with one another, it took us over a year between memorandum of understanding and technology conversions to be able to get this done. That's something that if we were all on the same Innovate Ohio platform, we could have done in weeks. Additionally, from my experience in the Secretary of State's office, I can tell you that when you make it easier for people to do things, they will. And that's what we did with voter registrations. We did it with business filings. We set a record for the number of business filings in our office, and we saved a lot of money. We saved over $10 million for the taxpayers of the state, millions of dollars for businesses, and we improved the way that we served all of those folks. We improved customer service. And the agencies that we're talking about today are a lot bigger than the Secretary of State's office. I believe that ultimately they can do some pretty incredible things. So what is the Innovate Ohio platform? Well, for all of the state's websites and the way that you are connecting with those entities, we're putting them all on a common IT platform, which will help create the security that people expect with their information and also the savings that I discussed earlier. We're also talking about data and data analytics. That will we'll be able to take the information and put it on common private cloud platform, be able to share data in what is affectionately known as the data lake. Although, as I mentioned to the cabinet this morning, it doesn't look bucolic as you might have it in your mind. It is the latest and greatest technology that's available to store information, to keep it secure, and to allow people to do dynamic data analysis and data analytics to improve the way that we look at information and how we serve people. The big customer service component of this, and again, it's important that we look at this through the eyes of the customer. It will become more mobile adaptive. It will become more personalized. It will be ADA compatible. Ultimately, will we have the capability for people to have a digital wallet in state government so that they can work across state agencies with a minimal amount of effort. I describe it like this. In personalizing this, if you're somebody that often goes to the ODNR website, you're somebody that often goes to the Department of Insurance website, maybe the real estate division in commerce, this data system will allow you to memorize. It will allow you to know that, will allow the system to know that, will help you navigate that and navigate everything across the state platform much easier so that your customer service experience is better. And you say, why is that important? I ask you to look at your own lives. How many times have you gone on a website? You were going to buy something. You went to do it. It was complicated. Maybe they asked you for a little too much information. You had to repeat steps. And you probably decided that I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go through that hassle. And then I ask you to call on your histories or your experiences with websites that really worked well, where they were easy to use, where it pre-populated information and made it convenient and easy for you. That's where you probably do most of your business. People have come to expect that in their lives. We should be able to provide them that in state government. We should be able to provide that same level of customer service, and the Innovate Ohio platform allows that to happen. For those who have heard this before, I will repeat it again, but I experienced this firsthand. I had a great experience, an informative experience for myself in this past December when I was early December when I was deer hunting. ODNR has a great website. You can go on your phone and you can get a deer hunting license. And then when you harvest your deer, you can go back on and check it in and you get a claim number. Well, I went to go through the process of not only doing that, which worked great, but I went to the butcher to have my deer processed. And he looked back at me and he said, "Where's your paperwork?" I said, "What paperwork?" He said, "Well, you know, the people at the ODNR say I have to have these forms filled out with all that information." I said, "I don't have any forms. Do you have a form?" "I don't have a form." He said, "Well, I'm sorry, this is the way it goes." And he said, "I can't help you." And so I looked back at him and I asked him a couple more questions. He said, "I'm sorry, sir." And then he looked at me and he goes, "Wait a minute, are you that guy?" I said, "Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that guy that works in government." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can you explain this to me about why we need all this stuff?" And I'm like, "No, I can't explain that to you about why you need all this stuff. But I know some people. Let me make a couple phone calls and we'll find it out." So I called the ODNR director at that point in time. It was Jim Zeringer. Jim kindly got on the phone and explained it all and said, "Yes, we've got this mostly right, but we don't have it completely right." And you, in the end, explained it. We worked it out. Now the butcher figured out how he could go about the business. But my point being for telling you that story is that you can't get it almost right. You got to get it completely right. You got to get it right through the entire customer service experience if you want people to really think you're doing something special, if they're getting the level of customer service that they really have come to expect in the world today. And government must do this. Government must be just as good as what we're competing against out there in the world. I wouldn't call it competing against, about the customer expectation that exists out there in the world. And the Innovate Ohio platform allows us to do this. On the data sharing and the analytics piece, I always struggled to find easy ways to explain this to people. When you're talking about technology and data, it's out there. It's really hard to physically talk about. The governor and I were at a great announcement on Friday where they had drone technology, and Ohio is going to be a leader in some of the areas where we're testing drone technology. That's easy. You can see it. It's a drone. It's flying around. It's easy to tell. What about data in a data lake with data analytics? It's hard to explain, but I'll explain it like this. You go to a wonderful skyscraper. You see this great foundation. It's rebar and concrete. It doesn't look like anything too special, but it serves as the foundation for everything else that you do with technology. That's what the Innovate Ohio platform is to data analytics. It allows people to build from the data that we have to do some pretty amazing things. And when the governor and I were talking to the cabinet this morning about this, we talked about ending these data silos and working together, the technological and human collaboration. Because in the end, it's not data. It's a real person out there that data belongs to. That data represents experiences and services that they're consuming in their lives. It is somebody who may be in jeopardy of dropping out of school. We can find the information, the data that maybe can help provide an intervention. We can find data that shows what works best with our recovery programs for those suffering from addiction so that mom and dad don't slide back down that road and that their children don't suffer. It can be about job training programs, proving whether they work or they don't. It's about poverty, what strategies work best at helping people get out of poverty. It's infant mortality, helping learn from the data about what works and what doesn't, what kind of interventions really matter. It also will help, particularly with our legislative friends who are here and those who care, I know a lot about this, is that it does give us the ability to show if the money we're investing actually works. That's what these analytics tools will allow us to do in ways that we've never been able to do it before. And in the end, it will build people's confidence in the work that we do. It will help provide better services to them. It's about customer service, data analytics, and security, and to improve that collaboration. It will improve the lives of the people of Ohio and will make Ohio a leader. And I know that I spoke briefly with some of the members of the Innovate Ohio board today. I know I talked with the legislators from our Innovate Ohio caucus. And I just want to say thank you to the governor for his leadership on this. Understanding, Mike DeWine understands how when you use these technologies that you can improve people's lives, and he's been a great driving force in helping us get this done.